Heavy rains are nothing new to the residents of the Appalachian Mountains. It is common for the simple little creek beds of the mountains to turn into small rivers during the months of January through May. However, in 1957, this would become a devastating event that would be among the listed worst disasters to happen to the state of Kentucky. While the first 3 weeks of January of that year were drier than usual, temperatures were normal up until January the 18th, 1957. The ground in most of the area would still be frozen to a depth of 1 to 2 inches, and in many places snow was still on the ground. The temperatures began to warm up between January 21st and 22nd, and the ground ice and snow melted. Just a week before the flood, there was a rainfall of 1 to 2 inches, which helped to thaw the ground. This saturated the ground, and so most of the following rainfall would only be runoff water. Heavy rains began to fall on the area of Kentucky, Virginia, Tennessee, and West Virginia. Most of the affected area would report a total rainfall of 6 to 9 inches. However, on the Virginia and Kentucky state line, as much as 12 inches of rain would fall. The Big Sandy, Cumberland, Kentucky, and Tennessee river basins would be the most affected by the sudden surge of water. Record water crests would reach as high as 50% greater than the previous floods on record. This flood would break the record for flooding in the years of 1918 and 1946. In Pikeville, Kentucky, the La Vista Fork of the Big Sandy River rose 18 feet on January the 29th. The river would crest at a height of 52.72 feet on January the 30th. This would exceed a record set by the flood of 1862. Pikeville was almost completely underwater from the flooding. However, in Paintsville, Kentucky, the 1862 record would hold, as the 1957 flood was 7/10 of a foot shy of the record. The weather warning system at that time was unreliable. In many places, there was no warning given because of communication disruptions. Mudslides and high water prevented the access to many areas to give warning or much needed assistance. At least 30 federal highways and secondary roads were deemed impassable. All of the roads that were not on the basin floor fell victim to rock or mudslides and washouts from heavy rains. The rise of the water levels was so rapid that many people had to be evacuated from their homes without their belongings. Many people lost personal property, livestock, and food supplies, along with their homes. Many stores were flooded and lost their supplies and food stock. This caused a major food shortage and supply shortage. In some cities, the water was contaminated and could not be used. In other places, there was no gas for cooking or heating. Approximately 7,700 phones and 103 long-distance circuits were knocked out of service. Electric power was disrupted and many people did not have electricity. Many schools were damaged from the floodwaters. Several small rural school buildings were completely destroyed. School closures were also due to transportation problems. The Hazard, Kentucky State Vocational School sustained $373,000 worth of damage and was deemed a total loss. Damage to other schools in Perry County area were estimated at $85,000 in 1957 currency. In Floyd County, the damage to the schools was estimated at $308,000 for the entire county. In Pikeville, the police estimated that 400 automobiles were submerged. Telephone service was disrupted and was partially restored for emergency usage. More than 250 houses were destroyed in Pikeville and 2,400 houses were severely damaged, and the families had to be evacuated. The schools were severely damaged and had to be repaired. Prestonsburg and Paintsville sustained damage, but to a lesser degree. 3/4 of the city of Prestonsburg population had to be evacuated due to floodwater, which was approximately 1,000 persons. Several fires broke out as the waters receded. About 70 residents of Paintsville were flooded. Advanced warning to Paintsville allowed for the evacuation of 200 resident families. Prestonsburg and Paintsville each had damages of approximately $4 million. On the Pound River in Pound, Virginia, and near Hayside, Virginia, there was excessive damage to the area. However, none of the sources I looked at would say how much damage was done or the estimated cost of repairs. 40 bridges were lost in Whitesburg, Fleming Neon, and Blackie. There was heavy flooding in some areas as the tributary streams in Letcher County overflowed. There was heavy damage to the areas of Leatherwood Creek, Line Fork, and Rock House. The total estimated damage for the time was at $61 million, of which $39 million was from the Big Sandy River Basin. Kentucky River Basin would estimate $15 million in damage. It was estimated that $52 million in damages were from the floodwaters just in the state of Kentucky. It is reported that in the state of Kentucky alone that 9 people lost their lives from flooding. The Red Cross reported that 597 homes were destroyed and 10,000 homes sustained damage from the high water. Improvements have been made for the bigger cities to deal with the flooding. While the water does rise every year, the extent of the damages are not as overwhelming. Thank you for continuing to read and watch Kentucky Tennessee Living's posts. We deeply appreciate it. Our goal has always been to bring the history back to the Appalachian Mountains. Please like, subscribe, and share below. Also hit the bell for notifications of future videos. And once again, be sure to leave us a "Hey y'all" in the comment section below. Thank you for continuing to support us and watch our videos.